we thank you for the keys that you dropped. We also got, some topics, breaking news stories that have been going on that we'd like to discuss too as well, and kind of dive in. Since we have you on, you could chime in on something you want to speak on. One of the things that we haven't addressed yet, a lot of people want to know our opinion, was with Kevin Samuels passing away, right? Kevin Samuels, he was a controversial YouTube star, especially when it came to women, because he would talk about what a high value man was, or a high value woman, and what's not a high value woman, and that's where a lot of people found it controversial. But the biggest thing is that when he passed away, there were so many negative comments, like people kind of praising the fact that he passed away. I know, like Vivica Fox, she came out there with some harsh comments after he passed. And then you also have I know it was a pastor. He actually had to take back his remarks, but he was talking about, Kevin Samuels talking about high value man, and there's a GoFundMe for his funeral, this and that. So I'm just kind of curious to, the podcast team, what are your thoughts? With this man being so controversial, did he deserve to get that after he passed away, or since he passed away, that should be off limits? What are your thoughts? We'll start with Wraith, because I know you were actually a fan of Kevin Samuels. Put the target on.
It's kind of crazy. Like, I wasn't expecting this. I wouldn't say I was an avid watcher of his videos, but I did watch some of his videos. I didn't agree with all the points he had made about men and women. Yeah. But I do feel like he was trying to do something, like, especially like for the Black community. He was trying to sort of like hold people accountable, which is out of something that I don't think gets done enough within our race. I just think that the slanders and the remarks is unnecessary. Like, regardless if you agree with his viewpoints or not, to say that it's karma, because I heard that a lot. It's karma, it's what he deserves, is what he gets. I think that's a little bit over the top. You don't have to agree with somebody, but for you to just sit there and say that they deserve that they deserve death because of their viewpoint on you, it's a little bit unnecessary. And also another thing that's kind of I would say messed up is that I actually went back to like how his YouTube career started, and before he was addressing women, he was addressing men, and there was no controversy or anything. The same words or the same standards that he was holding women to, he was also holding men to, and there was nothing controversial happening. All the controversy started when he started holding women to the same standard. Yeah. So again, it just makes no sense. And like I said, I've never agreed with all the things that he stated about women, but he did have some points that did make sense, that were, backed by logic and not just, that were, to me, that were fact based. And I just don't think he deserves slander like that and dying, bro. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
To me. That's how I feel.
Well, I mean, honestly, I could see that, because I wasn't. Yeah, like I didn't really agree. I would say I probably didn't agree with like most of the stuff he said, but what I liked about him is he was very like thought provoking. Like he might say something like one of his most controversial statements is like, I want to say he was like, if I'm paraphrasing, but he was just basically like, if you're a woman that's over 35 and you're not married, then you're not a high value woman or something like that. You're like a leftover. And I was like, well, so I don't agree with that, because I have women that I love that are married. But I believe that he is speaking. This is what a lot of people are thinking, and he wants y'all to know that. You know what I mean? That there's a group of people out there thinking it. They may never say it because they're, double standard and this and that. And everyone doesn't think that. I think he would more state as a fact. That was where I disagreed. It's like, let people know
that's one of the things I didn't agree with. Like, that's one of the things I didn't agree with. Like, I don't think any woman is a leftover.
Yeah.
But one thing I did agree with him was that he sparked a lot of conversations.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of conversations happening now, like between the dynamic of men and women, just off of his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You know, which I think is conversations that need to be had. You know,
for sure.
Yeah.
And the thing I do disagree with is the negative comments after he passed, because one, he's not here to defend it or go back and forth with you. So all you're really doing is hurting like his daughters that are still here, his mom who found out through social media. So his family that had nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? Like they don't have to do with that views, but they lost a person, and now you guys are coming at someone in death. Like if that's how you feel, you don't really need to say anything. He's not here to do that. So to do that, I feel like you're more just hurting the family, and it's just a lack of empathy. Like what you dislike from somebody, now you're basically doing the same thing or worse. You know what I mean? It's so weird to me how we live in a world where if they don't like what you're doing and they say, oh, that's horrible, and then they do the same thing on like a different side of the table, you know? So it's just, so that's why I kind of disagree with it. I don't know if y'all have
I mean,
y'all want to share on that.
People are gonna say what they're gonna say. You know, it's unfortunate. You can't like stop people from saying something. Like the example I think of that kind of reminds me of this is when Rush Limbaugh passed away. Like a lot of people were saying things like he deserved to die and stuff. I think he died of cancer, and he was very controversial and like, you know, in a similar way, thought-provoking, because people would have debates around the things he'd say, and it's just like, at the end of the day, you can't really stop people, you know. I mean, you can have an opinion on what people are saying, like we are right now, but people are gonna say what they're gonna say, just like Kevin Samuels, just like Rush Limbaugh, just like other people who they had a platform and they told people what their views were. You can't expect to not have some sort of backlash.
That this freedom of speech at that point?
Huh?
Isn't that just freedom of speech?
Exactly.
He had a platform and he was telling his opinions. Like, I mean, it was mostly on his platform. Like he wasn't really like trying to convert anybody. He was just kind of telling what he thought, but he was just very adamant on his own ideas and his own opinions, which is not a problem really. Like I can sit and be like, I'm the best producer. Like I'm not, you know what I'm saying? If you don't think so, you don't think so. But if I think so, I have the right to think so. So I mean, at that point, like if I die, you can't be like, oh, he thought he was the best producer. Like he should have died. Like that's messed up. Like,
that's a good point.
No, I don't think. Yeah, saying someone should die is kind of like.
Yeah, that's like.
That's kind of strong.
You know, agree to disagree.
Yeah, I mean,
to tune in somewhere else, you know. But I think you made a good point. It's his own platform. It's freedom of speech. We all don't have to agree. We can agree to disagree, have a debate. But it's like sometimes when people just like an opinion, they're like, "Oh man, you should be banned and shut up." You know, it's like the world we live in. Speaking of
East Coast, know I'm rocking with y'all. West Coast, know I'm rocking with y'all. North Side, know I'm rocking with y'all. South Side, know I'm rocking with y'all. I'm still riding with my day, cause I'm rocking with y'all. Old County, throw your hands up, I'm rocking with y'all. Long Beach, throw your hands up, I'm rocking with y'all. Throw some bread in the air, cause I'm rocking with y'all.
I'm Bo Redder, a go-getter, Mo Redder, low redder, dope.